Hello and welcome to Demon's Forge. This episode I shall be presenting my deck tech for Kalain Reclusive Painter for Brawl on Magic Arena. Let's start off with a commander. Kalain is a 1/2 human elf bard for black and a red. When she enters the battlefield, you create a treasure token. Other creatures enter the battlefield with +1/+1 counters equal to the amount of mana from treasures spent to cast them. As I have been playing on Arena, there is no way to build and play it to a low level like I did for Quintorius, so this time we're using as many good cards as we can burn wild cards for. Maybe there are better choices, but let's have a good look at the tech for this deck. A core synergy of this deck I wanted to achieve was primarily generating and spending treasure, but also a touch of frost for Snow Matters cards from Kalain. Shambling Ghast is a fantastic early game blocker or late game chump blocker with value. Deadly Dispute and Skullport Merchant effectively refund part of their casting mana cost, and the ability to sacrifice creatures that have auras or other negative effect for your own value is a versatile ability. Undercity Scrounger, Xorn and Goldspan Dragon are excellent repeatable sources of treasure, and Grim Bounty is murder with a bit of booty. A great turn-free play is to get Replicating Ring onto the field. In nearly all games, my opponents left the ring to accumulate night counters, with even a rare moment where I was able to have a second round of 8 rings to add to my board. It may be slow ramp, but it can still catch your opponents out. Maybe not so much after this video though. Draugr Necromancer in combination with your Snow Basic mana base is a powerful piece. If your opponent is attacking without caution, their board is going to steadily decline while you continue to add to your field. Blood in the Snow is a fantastic board clearer. I haven't yet gotten to a situation where wiping multiple planeswalkers outweighs clearing creatures, but you never know when that option will be needed. The recursion of a creature with mana value equal to or less than the amount of snow mana used for casting creates a fun loop this deck can and has pulled off, and really grinds opponents down. Kalain is the Reclusive Painter, so what tools can we use to make her life a little more peaceful? Clawing Torment works on a few levels. It removes X1s, prevents chunky creatures from blocking, and if it's put on the right creature or artifact, the steady bleed of life will add up to put your opponent into an unfavourable position. Eaten Alive, Flame Blessed Bolt, Play with Fire are all excellent sheet removal of both early game threats or frantic top decks. Eaten Alive is also a fantastic upgrade from Spark Harvest seen in War of the Spark. Soul Shatter and Soul Transfer require good timing to get the most value, easier with Shatter. Soul Transfer's creature recursion is also useful secondary mode, and with the right board state, you're reaping double the benefit for one card. The Meathook Massacre and Orcus, Prince of Undeath, are more excellent board clears, with their X cost making it easier to tailor whatever board state you face. Remember, sometimes you want your own creatures to die, especially with Meathook Massacre out. Honoured Heirloom is a great way to ensure your opponents can't make use of their graveyard. Gravedigging to beat the gravediggers, you might say. Dockside Chef functions the same as Skullport Merchant, but in a pinch can sacrifice itself to draw a card. In my games, I usually find myself in a sort of aggressive backfoot. Tempered in Solitude allows me to throw an extra body at my opponent and churn through my deck at a faster pace. This works better from the mid-game onwards, as you don't want to be exiling your board sweepers or threatening creatures. Curse of Hospitality works in a similar fashion. If I'm able to keep control of the board state, then I can effectively become a 3 or more colour deck and churn from my opponent's resources. Better still, if a card is not useful to me, it can be left in exile to deny the opponent. We'll be putting counters on a number of our creatures, so Skyclave Shadowcat makes our opponents think twice about trying to destroy our creatures, or it can be a lightning rod to removal while still replacing itself. Network Terminal is a repeatable rummage artifact, also helps with mana. Persistent Specimen is a great early drop for defense, or if your opponent is open to a source of chip damage to soften them up. Undying Malice in my experience works all game long, even on turn 2 if you play Kalain on curve. Ghoulish Procession and Jadar, Ghoul Cooler of Nephalia, generate us plenty of bodies, whether they're going to pummel our opponent's faces or sacrifice for our own benefit. Death Priest of Merkel also keeps the Skelly Boys coming, but you'll need to give them a steady supply of fresh dead and a touch of mana. Dog's Pursuit is a nice bleed effect, similar to Clawing Torment. Comparatively less impactful on the turn it comes out, but it can help a more grindful game veer into your favour. Tenured Inkcaster gives a similar favour as Dogged Pursuit, scaling with our quantity of modified creatures, assuming everything is going to our plans. Ardent Elementalist has been a fun little enabler, throwing down massive snowdrifts with Blood in the Snow only for the Elementalist to poke their head out, or maybe something simpler like endlessly reusing Undying Malice. Ecologist Terrarium is useful for fetching another basic, likely the one you don't already have in play, or maybe need an additional colour source. The sacrifice ability pairs well with our other modified creature payoffs. Ambitious Assault hasn't been a powerhouse for this deck if I'm honest. I've yet to make full use of it in combination with Curse of Hospitality's trample benefit. The conditional cantrip element has come in useful, even as an inefficient draw spell in dire situations. Chandra, Dressed to Kill, works very well to ensure our opponent is chipped down. As this deck leans more towards black, a second tick up is more missed than hit. Thankfully, so many of those misses have hit lands I no longer needed. Many opponents have been wise to remove her before she can ultimate. Immersturm Predator and Westgate Regent are good value mid to late game heavy hitters. If you can keep them on the board, they'll quickly smash whatever remaining life total your opponent still has. This deck makes use of snow-covered swamps and mountains and Sulfurous Mire. This is primarily to ensure Draugr Necromancer and Blood in the Snow have the highest chance of working efficiently. Additional mana fixing includes Blightstep Pathway, Bloodfell Caves, Evolving Wilds, and Secluded Courtyard. Hall of Oracles is also fixing, but is much more potent as a +1/+1 counter source. Immersturm Skullcairn, Field of Ruin, Roadside Reliquary, and Voldaren Estate are all in my deck purely as utility. While not important to any strategy of the deck, they're still useful lands to include. For me, this deck has been both incredibly fun and a potent 1v1 Brawl deck. I've achieved decent line of wins, and the pace it can set means that not many games stretch too long. There are certainly moments when the most optimal play isn't clear, but as with all decks, that's something each player learns in their own time and way. If there are cards you think would be better suited for the deck, let me know in the comments below. That's all for this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and that you'll subscribe for more Magic the Gathering content, along with Transformers and Wargaming videos.